Hello friends. Hello and welcome back to your own YouTube channel where I always try to provide you with all the solutions to your conceptual problems in English. I know that all of you students are missing the school, and trust me, even I am doing the same. But still, let's create the same energy with this atmosphere with lots of enthusiasm and fun like we had in the physical classroom in the offline mode. So students, today I'm going to explain the topic verbs, modals and auxiliaries. But before we move ahead, you must keep this in mind that whenever we are studying a grammar concept, we should always understand the meaning of each and every word, because that will help us to understand the concepts easily, as well as you can use them wisely in your day-to-day practical use. So let's just begin. Now, first of all, we should understand what is a modal. Now, modals are those helping verbs which express the mode or the manner of the actions indicated by the main verbs. Now, if we understand this in a simple language, helping verbs just help us to understand the actions that have been completed by the main verbs, that have been indicated by the main verbs. So, we can say that they express the modes and the manners such as ability, possibility, probability, permission or obligation, etc. Now, before we move ahead to understand the meaning of all these highlighted words, let me tell you that the modals or the verbs are divided into two categories. Verbs, we know that is divided into the main verb and the helping verb, and the auxiliaries or the helping verbs are divided again into two categories, that is the primary auxiliary and the modal auxiliaries. So here we will be talking about the primary auxiliary as well as the modal auxiliaries too. So first of all, we should note what is the meaning of these words that we have used and these helping verbs express. Now, first of all, ability, we understand ability by referring to anyone's capability to do something. Second one, possibility, tells us that we can say that it just somehow explains us the probability or the chances of something happening, right? So possibility is something that's similar to probability also, where we can make a guess that something may happen or may not happen, but what are the chances of something happening or not happening. Now, if we move ahead to permission, permission refers to when you want to do something or when you want to say something and you just want someone to allow you to do the same, you seek permission. So that is what is your permission. And last but not the least, the word obligation here refers to when you are bound to follow some order or when you are bound to do something or abide by something, then that becomes an obligation. So it is a mandatory part that you have to follow that instruction or an order. So that is known as an obligation. Now, as I told you earlier that the auxiliaries are divided into two parts, two categories, the primary auxiliaries and the modal auxiliaries. Now, the words be, have, do, can, could and the list continues as you can see on screen. These are all known as auxiliaries, and auxiliaries are nothing but the helping verbs. Now, the verbs be, have and do are often referred to as primary auxiliaries, and the different forms of these primary auxiliaries is used in different tenses, and the purpose they serve is that they have a grammatical function in a sentence. When we move ahead and take some examples, you will be able to understand it in a better way. And the rest of the words in the above list are called as modal auxiliaries, and these are also known as modals. In short, you can call them as modals, and they express the attitudes like permission, possibility, etc. Now, before we move ahead, let's see what are the different forms of these primary auxiliaries and how are they used in different tenses. Now, the first primary auxiliary, be, there are three forms of be: is, am or are in the present tense, and whereas it is used as was or were in the past tense. The same way, do is used as do or does in the present tense, whereas it is used as did in the past tense. And have is used as has and have in the present tense and had in the past tense. So, as I told you earlier, all these three words are the primary auxiliaries and they serve a grammatical function. They help us to construct the sentence in a much proper way with correct grammatical formation. Now, moving ahead to the other category of auxiliaries, that is modal auxiliary verbs. Now, your modal auxiliary verbs are so many. As you can see it on screen: can, could, will, would, may, might, must, shall, should. These are all modal auxiliary verbs. And now here we will just discuss about the different functions that they serve in different usage. So here, if I say it might rain tomorrow, I am just expressing a possibility that it might rain tomorrow. But when I say it may rain tomorrow, it is something of a strong possibility, whereas might is a little weaker possibility. Again, if I say you must wear black pants, must becomes an obligation. It is a foundation for you to follow the instruction, follow the order that you have to wear black pants. Now, again, we should also know that some modals can be used in different ways. Like, just for a short example, can also be used to express an ability, whereas it also can be used to ask for grant permission, right? It can be used as an informal way of seeking permission. Same way, would can be used in three different ways. It can also be used as the past tense of will. It can also be used to express the repetitive action in the past, and it can also be used to express the conditional mood, right? So let's just move ahead and have a look at the different functions of the modal auxiliary verbs. We will take it one by one. We will have a look at the different functions they serve, and I will also be giving you some examples where you can see how the modals have been used. So let's take can first. Now, can also be used as an ability. When I say I can complete this work, means I have the capability to complete this work. So here can is being used as an ability. Again, when I say, when I use the sentence, can I use your pen? Here I am making a request. Same way, when I say you can use my pen, I am giving you the permission to use my pen. So as you can see, can is used as the same word in different sentences but with different functions. So we should be clear with this, that the same word can be used with different functions in different sentences. Now, moving ahead to could. Could can be used to show the ability. If I say, I could do this if I were not blind, means the person is expressing his thought that if I would not have been blind, I would have been able to do this work. So the person is trying to express his ability. Whereas when I say, could you lend me your pen, I am making a polite request. The same way, when I say it could be done if rain did not interrupt. So I am just expressing a possibility that the work may be completed if it is not interrupted by the rain. and so on so forth. You can see the other usage also with their examples on screen. Moving ahead to may. Now this word may actually refers to when we ask for permission formally. It is also used to express a wish or to indicate a strong possibility. For example, may can also be used as to seek permission. For example, may I come in, sir? It can also be used to express possibility. It may rain tomorrow. It can also be used to express a wish or a prayer. May God bless you. May you live long. So again, as I said earlier, that each of the modals can be used in different ways in different sentences. So you should be clear with the concept and you should be able to read the sentence and quickly understand in what manner, in what function is the modal being used. Now moving ahead to might. Might is used as the past equivalent of may. So it can be taken as a past form of may. It suggests a weak possibility. So it can also show you a speculation. Speculation means again you are making a guess. It can also be used to show some suggestion, some permission or some order as well. Now moving ahead to shall. Now here this word shall can be used to indicate a promise or to indicate a threat, and it can also serve different functions in different sentences. For example, if I say I shall visit your place tomorrow, so I am speculating, I am just telling you something about that thing might happen in the future. Again, if I say the army shall fight to the last, so I am showing the determination of the army, the strong will of the army, the strong decision of the army that they will try to fight till the end. Again, it can also be used to indicate a threat. Threat means when you want to just make somebody feel a little afraid of something, so it can be used. So maybe for example you can say he shall not remain the captain anymore. So if I say this, you will clearly understand the motive behind saying this. What I mean to say is that I want to just give you a little simple threat that if you do not do good, then you might not remain as the captain. So it is being used as a different function over here. Now, the next word is should. So should is again used in two different ways. It can be used to ask for a suggestion, or it can be used to ask for or give an advice. For example, we should listen to our elders. This is an advice that we receive from all. Again, we can also use should in the form of possibility, request, permission or duty. You can just go through and read the sentences that I have enlisted here, and you can understand the different functions of each of the modal. The same way, will is used in the second and the third person to express simple future tense. When we want to express something that might happen in the future, we use the word will, right? And would is used to make polite requests, offers and ask questions. So we are using the words in different contexts in different sentences. Again, one more thing that you need to keep in mind is that will is used in the first person. When we are using will in the first person, we use it to express the willingness or the determination or promise or habit or even a threat. For example, if I say, I will do the work, means I am willing to complete the work and I will do it. Again, if I say, we will sue him, what does that mean? We will sue him means I am giving a threat that I am going to take that person to the court to just take some legal action against that person. So that is what is the word sue refers to. So we are using, again as I said, we are using these different modals in different ways in different sentences. Now, last but not the least, coming to the modals that are not used so frequently. Now here must expresses the necessity or obligation. I already explained the meaning of the word obligation in the beginning. It is something that you are bound to follow or you are bound to abide to. For example, if I say we must reach on time or you must come before sunset. So this is an obligation for someone that the person should reach before it is sunset. The same way it can be used to inquire about something, or it can be used to show an obligation, or it can be even used to show a prohibition. Now you might be wondering, what is prohibition? So prohibition is something when you are not allowed to do something. For example, if I say you must not smoke, so somebody is advising you. You can take it as an advice, you can take it as a threat that you must not smoke. So that is something what is prohibition. You are prohibited to do something. And the next one is something that we do not use these days. It is actually considered to be old-fashioned, but ought to expresses moral obligation and desirability. This word ought to can be used to show the moral obligation or desirability to do something, and it is always followed by to plus a verb. For example, if I say you ought to help the poor, means it is a moral responsibility of yours to help the poor. Again, if I say he ought to have reached the airport by now, so again I am making a guess, I am showing a possibility that by this time maybe he might have reached the airport. So it can be used to indicate the present or the future time as well. Now, coming to the end of the video and talking about the last three modals that again are not used so frequently, but still they have a lot of importance in English language. The first one is dare. Now this word dare means to be bold enough to do something. You might have also played a game, dare or truth. So dare is something when you are given a task and it is something that you should be bold enough to do. So it is commonly used in interrogatives and negative sentences. For example, if I take the sentence, I dare you. I dare you means what? I am going to give you a task and I am challenging you to complete the task. So I dare you or I challenge you to do something. And when I use it in the form of an auxiliary verb, we can take it as an example. He dare not to tell me lie. So what is this referring to? That I am just making it sure, and it is like a threat that that person should not tell me a lie. It is a challenge to that person. It is a threat to that person that that person should not tell me a lie. Otherwise, you might have to go through some repercussions. Now, this word need is used as a finite verb. And what does it mean? It may mean want or require. We also understand the meaning of need as when you want to do something or when you require something, then you use the word need. For example, I need your help means I want you to help me. Whereas when I say he need not go there, here I am using it in a different context and I am just saying that it is not required for that person to go there. And coming to the last modal that is used to, it indicates a discontinued habit that somebody might have had in the past. For example, the penguins are used to cold climate. Now here it is being used in a sense that the penguins are habituated to the cold climate. But when I say we used to go swimming in the evenings, what do I mean? I mean to say that this is something that happened in the past and it was a habit. So here Used to is indicating a discontinued habit. Now, I have explained the complete modals along with their functions and giving you a lot of examples, so you can go through the entire video and listen to it once more if you do not understand any of it, or if you have any doubts, you can just talk to me and you can just get your doubts clarified. So please feel free to contact me and just get your doubts clarified related to this topic. Hope you have understood the concept well and you will be using it wisely in your day-to-day communication as well as in your writing or creative writing that you do. So for now, thank you and hope you have enjoyed the video. If you have liked my video, if you have understood the concept, please do not forget to like and subscribe the channel. Thank you.